So a few weeks ago, the New York Times put out an article talking about how, like, hey, this is how the Sinaloa cartel creates fentanyl. And they sent their, it's two reporters that go in and they were side by side in some house on a kitchen stove following these two young cartel members that were bandanaed up and masked up, cooking fentanyl on a stovetop. Talking about how, yeah, we have a high tolerance level, but this is how we make it here in the lab, blah, 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 whoop, whoop, whatever. Now, Claudia Sheinbaum was asked about this report, and she basically said, we're pulling up with the experts to answer your questions about this. And this week, she pulled up with a chemist and a doctor. And the doctor comes on and he says, first of all, fentanyl is insanely powerful. You only need like 4 to 5 grains of salt, like salt worth of fentanyl to like knock you out for a while, right? It's already dangerous levels that'll take you out. So it seems next to impossible for us to believe that this report from the New York Times is how they claim fentanyl's being made, when we know that those small doses are what'll knock you out, because these fucking nerds aren't even wearing the right protection. They got a bandana on. Fentanyl will knock you out. And then the chemist comes on and he's like, yeah. The doctor is 100% on point, because to make fentanyl, you need a laboratory level of conditions. And you need to be wearing special suits, because if it gets on your skin or if you inhale it at all, it'll knock you out. And on top of that, you need like industrial levels of ventilation, and you can't just produce fentanyl in a fucking house. Like, you have to have a very controlled environment, and we just don't have. We've busted some fentanyl labs here in Mexico, but it's rare because they're not on every corner. They're in very specific places, right? So after that, Claudia comes on and she says, yeah, this is why we're calling bullshit on the New York Times article. And also at the same time, she reminded everybody, she's like, the same reporters that did this New York Times article are also the same reporters that accused the previous president of having ties with the narcos with zero evidence at all, which is hilarious, because if you know anything about Mexican politics, there is a laundry list of Mexican presidents that have connections to narcos and illicit activities and all kinds of shade fuck stuff, right? AMLO's not one of them. We've had 4 Mexican presidents that have been straight up CIA assets. AMLO's not one of them, right? So no evidence. And she said, she's like, yeah, this is also the same reporters that put out the article with zero evidence at all, saying that the cartels were taking biology students from the universities and forcing them to make fentanyl too, also with zero evidence at all of any of this too, right? So that was one part. And then the second part that I want to talk about is that